Hello, everyone. Well, it looks like we're missing a few people. Well, let's get started. Okay. Who's going to give me the mandala? Svetlana, can you do the mandala for me? Svetlana, number 1.
Okay. Thank you so much, Lama Sumati. Sashipuki jukching mitoktram, rira blingshin indegen pandi, sange shingdo mikte ulvargi, drokunam dak shinglai chuparsho, idam guru ratna mandala kamiriata yami.
Okay, and Svetlana, number 2, could you do refuge for us?
Me?
Да, доброе утро, драгоценный учитель. Добрый вечер, участники курса.
Good evening, dear teacher and
Иду в прибежище
participants of this
Будды,
course.
Дharмы, Санги, чтобы просветление достичь. И силы добрых дел, таких как щедрость и других, позволит мне состояние Будды обрести на благо каждого живого существа. Иду в прибежище Будды, Дharмы, Санги, чтобы просветление достичь. И силы добрых дел, таких как щедрость и других, позволит всем участникам курса просветлению прийти на благо каждого живого существа. Иду в прибежище Будды, Дharмы, Санги, то просветление достичь. И сила добрых дел, таких как щедрость и других, позволит всем к просветлению прийти на благо каждого живого существа.
Great, thank you. Okay. Well, let's do a little rejoicing, a little renunciating. Okay. Tatiana, translator, what do you have to rejoice in today?
Good evening, Lama Sumati, and I'm really happy to be a translator of this class because when I looked through this presentation, I found out that you give a material from another angle, and it's rather interesting, and it gives me more understanding of this topic. I will translate for everyone, okay?
Okay. Okay. Well, I'm glad that that's helping you. Okay, so line number 1, what do you have to rejoice in?
Oh, hello, dear Lama Sumati. Hello, everyone. I have some rejoicing. Like today, I figure out some application. It is corporate application, and there are lots of useful materials about how to have healthy lifestyle, how to be productive, etc. And what is more important, significant for us, I found there are yoga instructions, some articles about it, and meditations as well. So I subscribe to the yoga challenge. I need to do yoga twice a week. And today I did my first yoga session for 20 minutes and shared it in the application.
Wow, you're a braver person than I. I did my exercises this morning, but they weren't 20 minutes of yoga. Okay, who's next? Let's go set line number 2.
Здравствуйте еще раз. Для меня безмерная радость каждый вечер практически обучаться у драгоценного Лама Сумати.
For me, it's a great joy almost every evening to study with you, precious Lama. Only a Saturday evening is free. And the second joy is
продолжаю начитывать садану
I
и
continue to
восхваление
read sadhana
белой тары.
from White Tara.
Я в восторге от результатов, которые происходят вокруг меня.
I'm
Один
really,
из таких
really
удивительных
very happy
моментов
about the
у
results.
моей коллеги
One
супруг
of
болен
one
онкологией,
wonderful things. My
и
colleague's
достаточно уже
husband is
серьезное
ill
положение, и
with
его уже положили в
cancer.
больницу. И вдруг
He is in hospital.
на днях она говорит, что
And
что-то удивительное
recently,
происходит,
she
его
has said
выписывают
something
домой.
miraculous is going
Мы
on
такие были все
because
в недоумении, ну как же так,
the
человек в таком
hospital says that
состоянии,
he
его
could go home.
выписывают, ему место в больнице. И она говорит такую вещь, что врачи недоумевают, что
She said
по
that the
анализам
doctors
он должен уже лежать
are wondering because
но состояние его
because if you
абсолютно
look at his
другое.
analysis,
И
he
его выписывают.
he
И
should
я
have
сначала
died
была
long
в
ago,
таком,
but
ну
he
как
is
же
alive.
так? Ну что же делают
How
врачи? А потом
so?
понимаю, что я его держу в поле, когда читаю садхану.
I
И
understand
27
suddenly that
смотрения
I
делает Дарья.
also
В общем,
read
у
the
меня
sadhana
мурашки
for
до
him for
слез.
his health, and
э,
I feel
как это все
like
работает. Благодарю.
crying and how it works. Thanks a lot for your knowledge for these teachings.
Do you have it memorized yet?
Я 100-слоговую мантру почти выучила наизусть.
I
Садану
almost
я не выучила еще
learned
наизусть. Это, кстати, 190 страниц.
100. I forgot the word. 100 words mantra almost by heart, but this I don't not yet.
But the sadhana you're still trying to memorize.
То есть садана почти 200 страниц, ее нужно выучить наизусть? Все, да.
Okay, I will
Хорошо,
try. I
спасибо.
will try. Thank you.
So I'm just curious, has she memorized the sadhana?
She said that it's almost 200 pages. It's very long.
No,
but
not the compendium, just the sadhana itself.
Но 100-слоговая мантра.
You mean
Я
100
просто
syllable mantra?
заволновалась.
No, I mean the sadhana that we do every soak. Yeah. Okay, I'm not
Да,
describing it.
смотрю.
Sadhana number one. About how can we describe this so she understands?
Садану, ну, сам текст саданы белой тары, который ежедневно читаем. Вот этот текст, который мы читаем, предполагается его выучить. Вот вы его выучили или нет? Вот это Лама Сумати пытается понять.
Нет, не выучила.
No, she hasn't.
Not.
I'm kidding. Just, it really is very nice to memorize it. So give it a shot. That's my new look.
Да, обещаю выучить.
Okay,
Okay, I promised to learn it by heart.
good. Okay. Daria, what do you have to rejoice about besides being in the Alps?
It's Tibet.
Oh,
Good morning, Lama Sumati. I rejoice. I have never met with Sveta number one, and in Saturday we went to meeting with Tenzin Yanchen. She lives where the Holy Dalai Lama, and she told about obstacle when she tried to see the Holy Dalai Lama, and it was very interesting story, pictures, and I'm very happy. And second time very happy to see, I don't know, it's maybe emanation, Anna and Eric, because I see this program, they help us with recording, and I see Anna and Eric another program. It's yoga studio. It's amazing person for me.
They're
They all
emanating
shows that,
everywhere.
yeah.
Okay, let's go with Anna, recording engineer.
Hello, dear Lama. Hello, everyone. About my rejoicing today, I am glad that we have rain at last, and it was very hot weather, and for now we have pretty cold rain, and it's very nice. It feels like miracle. Yeah. So I'm very happy about everything is changing, but the weather is changing also. And I'm happy of this because the weather is also my seeds. So it's very nice to see rain at last after maybe a week of very hot weather.
Okay,
Thank you.
you're welcome. Well, that rejoicing in good weather now is setting the seeds to have pleasant weather in your future. That's always a good thing. How about, how do I pronounce your last name? Boyko? Is that correct? Anna Boyko. What do you have to rejoice in?
Я сегодня просто радуюсь тому, что
Today I'm happy
я
about the
здорова,
fact
что мои
that
дети
I'm
здоровы,
healthy, my
вот, и
children
что
are
я смогла
healthy,
сдержать гнев на
that
какое-то
I could
время на них.
suppress my anger for some time.
Вот, все.
That's all.
Well, Anna shared with me pictures of her lawn and the lawnmower. That's some lawnmower, boy. That's a lot of lawn. So I was very pleased to see that. It looks like a very nice part of the world. Okay, who else? Olga. Are you there, Olga? What do you have to rejoice in?
Добрый вечер.
Good evening.
Я хочу порадоваться. Я радуюсь тому, что я вот в субботу тоже была на встрече с
I'm happy about
Тензиня
the fact that I also
и
joined
встретила там много старых
was at the
знакомых.
meeting with
Вот,
Tenzin,
и
and I met
вообще
lots
очень
of my
редко бываю на живых
acquaintances.
встречах, поэтому это
I
была большая такая радость.
I
И
visit
вторая
live
радость,
meetings very
что сын
rarely.
у меня вернулся вчера вечером
And
с
the second,
отпуска
the second joy
за
that
границей. Первый раз он ездил.
my son
Очень
came
рада
back
очень,
from
что
his
все
holidays.
хорошо.
He went for the
У них
first
хорошо
time
и
abroad,
благополучно
and
вернулись.
he had a very pleasant and safe holiday.
Where did you go?
В Абхазию. Не так далеко, но все-таки.
He went to Abkhazia. It's not so far, but still.
Okay. Well, my turn to rejoice.
Так.
What do I have to rejoice in? Well, I made some decisions about something. I'm going to continue writing an article. I decided I was going to stop writing. I've decided I'm going to do it. It's a tough one to get started. And I'd given up and said, well, I won't write it, but I'm going to write it. I'm taking the challenge on. I rejoice that I spent an extra amount of time trying to figure out today's class. These final classes in logic are, well, as you're going to see, they're a bit bewildering. But the idea is we're taking them, we're going to set the seeds to understand them. And I think what I would like to do is in a month or two, maybe we could revisit some of the logic classes from Course 13 and see if we can understand them more completely. Okay, well, here we go. Well, I also rejoice in my wife, the Oracle, being patient and describing, helping me understand this. She's a very patient person, and I'm very lucky to have her as a resource. Okay. So, class 9, the concept of elimination in perception exclusions. How intriguing is that? I can barely pronounce it, but it'll make a little more sense, I hope. Let's see, next slide. Shinsel, eliminate other. So we're going to use some Tibetan terms here because the flow is better in Tibetan. This topic is not taught until students have attended winter debates for at least 3 years. I can see why. It is an advanced topic, and keeping the terms straight is half the battle for me. Typically, a first-year class of 50 in a debate in this logic course. Second year is only 20. Third year, they'll be down to 5. And only 2 in Geshe Michael's class made it to year 4, and he was one of them. Now, I have to remember something. I'm pretty sure this is true. Geshe went and took classes that had 8 and 10-year-old monks in it. He was studying with the kids because he wanted to learn Tibetan properly and not be given a pass because he was an adult. I found that pretty interesting. The readings are long and hard. For now, just go to the starting point of our position part, then on to the formal logic section, then to the material about classes, about debating in the monastery. Ken Rinpoche and Geshe Michael wrote down the structure for the first time that they know of, and I think they're referring to the structure of the debates, but I find it hard to believe someone hasn't written about that, so I'm not sure what this really meant. Oh man, I tell you, I can just repeat this so many times. Okay, Lord Buddha did teach it. Why would he teach something that is technically not correct? Lord Buddha knew it would help our fledgling minds to understand a difficult topic better by teaching it in ways that are not absolutely correct. So he did teach things that were not correct. Was he lying? Well, no. But he did teach things that were incorrect. We need to study the logic school of Shinsel in order to understand the Madhyamika Prasangika Shinsel later. The Shinsel addresses 3 common misperceptions we have about emptiness. I do not understand what's going on with these slides. Think of the category of all that is not a pen, all which is not a pen. This is a double negative. These drive me nuts. Double negatives drive me nuts. We're eliminating everything other than pen to arrive at pen. So you take everything in the world, in the planet, the universe, and we're eliminating everything that isn't pen. So according to the logic school, this is how we perceive everything. By eliminating everything it is not, you arrive at what it is. So we're going to be studying from the logic school point of view for a bit. So it's going to get confusing. It's going to sound like we're saying stuff that's wrong. We are, but we're using it in the context to help us understand what is correct. The 3 versions of the concept of exclusion. Exclusion, which is the objectification, the making into an object of a specific instance of a thing. Now that's a mouthful. The act of creating, recognizing a thing through the process of eliminating what it is not, and you arrive at the thing. So objectification means we're taking an object, this thumb drive, which is a pretty neat thumb drive. For the C, there's the C end. It's got this little tab that protects it. You can't really see it. Anyway, I think it's pretty neat. The act of creating and recognizing a thing through the process of eliminating what it is not, and you arrive at the thing. We arrive at a pen by mentally eliminating all that is not pen. This is different than just identifying it as a quote-unquote pen. So, exclusion, which is the objectification, making into an object, a specific instance of a thing. So we're not thinking thumb drive in quotes, which is the concept. We're thinking thumb drive, solid, apparently solid object. And it's important. We arrive at a pen by eliminating all that it is not just by saying it is, quote unquote, a pen. Lower schools say that the emptiness of a pen is the fact that it is void of being all that it is not. It's void of being all that it is not. Well, that makes, of course it's not when it isn't, because that's what it means to be isn't. Higher schools say this is wrong. They contend that if that were all that the pen's emptiness was, we would all be having a direct perception of emptiness just by perceiving the pen. And then we'd all be enlightened by now. Since we aren't, at least I'm not, don't know about you guys, so this can't be right. Higher schools point out that it doesn't stop your mental afflictions to see that the pen is not all there, that isn't it. So how does that stop emptiness? It doesn't stop not stop emptiness. How does it stop mental afflictions? Well, it doesn't. Back to number one. Specific instances added in this definition to be sure that we're talking about a pen, not the general concept of a pen. So we're taking pen as a specific instance of thumb drive, and that's right here in my hand. A thumb drive arrived at by mentally eliminating all that is not a thumb drive is different than just having a thumb drive. These are two separate ways of looking at thumb drive, which are important for understanding emptiness. Working things in this school, in this exclusion, are arrived by recognizing and eliminating all that the thing is not, which leaves a specific instance of the thing. Working things in this school, in this exclusion, are arrived at by recognizing and eliminating all the thing is not, which leaves a specific instance of the thing. This is negation, a double negation. And why we say it is an objectification versus an object. Objectification is a process of arriving at the object of what I'm holding in my hand, not the concept of the thumb drive, but the actual thumb drive, by way of eliminating all that it is not. So logic school thinks my mind says thumb drive. Well, it can't be a submarine, it can't be a mountain, it can't be a sandwich, it has to be a thumb drive. That's the part I don't understand. Of course it's not a sandwich. So by eliminating sandwich, I haven't really narrowed down what thumb drive is. So what's the point? Because all lower schools believe that things exist because they function, They function from their side, not just because of the karmic projections, as we Madhyamika Prasangika practitioners believe. Well, that's helpful. This computer I'm at functions. I can write class notes on. Everyone can use it this way, so it functionally comes from its own side, it seems. Let's get a more general example. The sun. 6 billion people experience the sun rise and set every day. The sun rises and sets on its own accord. This apparently has nothing to do with my projections, according to the lower school. We would say we have the experience of the sun rising by have eliminated all that is not the sun rising. This is where stuff gets pretty, well, Madhyamika Prasangika would say that 6 million people have the same karma ripening to see this event, but when one's karma runs out, they won't. They'll become blind or imprisoned or dead. So it makes the sunrise in the morning is having the karma to see the sunrise in the morning. And the minute you don't have the karma to see the rise in the morning, you won't. Versus the seemingly self-existent view of the lower school. So there's a second type of shinso. Now it's called Loi Shinso. Loi Shinso can apply even to things that are imaginary, because we can imagine all that is not to arrive at the imagined thing or mental thing. It's not a physical thing. So we can't talk about the horns of a rabbit here, because we're not saying it's a physical thing, we're saying it's mental. Logic school. An imagined thing cannot function, so it cannot have a Durangi Shinso of an imagined thing. But we can have a joy Shinso, because the idea of a thing functions. We can imagine getting stabbed by the horns of a rabbit, even though it's not possible. We can imagine it because it's a mental concept. Lower school says, anything which has no true nature of its own has an exclusion. Anything which is not self-existent is arrived at by eliminating all that it is not. Let's read that again. Lower schools say anything which has no true nature of its own has an exclusion. Anything which is not self-existent is arrived at by eliminating all that is not, all that it is not. Mental exclusions can apply even to things that are imaginary, because we can imagine all that is not to arrive at the imagined anything. The logic school says, can imagine anything that cannot function. So we don't have a Dunranji Sensel of an imagined thing, but we can have a Loi Sensel, because the imagined thing can function in our mind. They say anything which has no true nature of its own has an exclusion. Anything which is not self-existent is arrived to by eliminating all that it is not. So that's where the elimination exclusion comes in. Again, so what? Is there this phrase in Russian? So what? Does that translate?
И
Yeah.
что?
So what?
И что?
Who cares? Okay. In order to reach emptiness directly, we must be able to imagine that a self-existent thing would be like, so that we can recognize its absence, which is what emptiness is. Mental images of things, existing or not, causing all the kinds of problems we have in this world. The mental image of the horns on a rabbit, you can have a mental image of that. For example, imagine you'll be fired today can give an ulcer whether or not you get fired. Well, this is an interesting, maybe this is a good point. I've told some of you how I got laid off from my last paying job. It's a long story. I won't go into all the details, but the relevant one is I had this sensation when I came in that Friday morning that I was going to get fired. There had been a theft of some equipment from our lab, and as lab manager, I should have been aware of it, and I wasn't. And I guess I got fired. So my boss said, I need to have a meeting with you and Bert, the, what was he called, business manager for her grant. So I prepare. I decided I'm going to observe the 3 spheres and try and understand my getting fired from that perspective. So we get in the meeting, and sure enough, I'm being laid off. And I think of the 3 spheres of being laid off. There's me. I'm the one who's getting told I no longer have a job. Then there's my boss, who's the one who's had to make that decision. And there's a business manager who has to carry out her decision. I could have defended myself, saying it wasn't my fault that some lab samples were kept in a person's drawer instead of where all the samples should have been. It would have been easy to turn and blame that person for the fact that the obstacle rotation device wasn't where it's supposed to be. But as she started somewhat berating me for all these things happening, I just sat there and smiled and thought to myself, I can chase down each one of her accusations and show it how it's not my fault. But there's no point in doing that. Instead, I need to accept the result and move forward. So I sat there for 15 minutes. Ample opportunities. She gave me opportunities to defend myself. I didn't take them because I had nothing to defend. I was running the lab. She had liked the way I ran the lab. So it was an interesting application of the 3 spheres. Okay. The third, Megaki Shensel, an exclusion which is a negative thing involving the absence of a thing. Durangi Shensel was creating a thing by eliminating all that it is not. Megaki Shensel is establishing that a conceptual thing is not what a conceptual thing is, not by eliminating all that it is, not establishing a simple present. Let's go through that again. Durangi Shensel was creating a thing by eliminating all that it is not. Megaki Shensel is establishing what a conceptual thing is not by eliminating all that it is, not establishing a simple absence. Emptiness is the simple absence of a self-existent thing, the absence of a pen that could function without us having the karma to experience it functioning, the absence of a thumb drive that could function without us having the karma to experience it functioning. Shen cells creating a thing by eliminating what it is not. A negative in the sense of not being something, a main God, but it's not emptiness. Mega ki Shen cell, establishing what a thing is not, by eliminating all that it is not, establishing a simple absence. So in this case, we're talking about we've established by eliminating everything that this isn't, we've established this thumb drive. Emptiness itself, the simple absence of a self-existent thing. The absence of a pen that could function without us having the karma to experience it functioning. A person in our world that can make you mad, independent of you having the karma to get mad right then. A person in your world that can make you get mad, independent of you having the karma to get mad at that moment. There are two ways to arrive at an absence. Megak, a simple absence, as in when you look at the table and see there's no cat on the table. Maengak, an absence implied by someone or something else. As to look at the thing in my table, is that a cat? Any negative thing that happens independent of our karma projections could be a self-existent thing. The absence of that is what we call a megak. Well, my slide is not advancing. Hang on a minute. There we go. Any negative thing that happens independent of your karmic projections would be a self-existent thing. I think we can all agree on that. Any negative thing or positive thing that happens independent of your karmic projections would be a self-existent thing. The absence of that is what we call a megak. A megak. Classic example, a bump, a water pitcher. A water pitcher is not empty. The condition of water pitcher being devoid of anything that belongs to the group of things it is not. The condition of a water pitcher being devoid of anything that belongs to the group of things it is not. Is there a water pitcher that belongs to a group of things that we call not water pitchers? No, because they're not water pitchers. So a water pitcher can't belong in a group that we've excluded all water pitchers from. When we go looking for a water pitcher that can be amongst a group of things that are not water pitchers, we're not able to find it. That is the absence of that water pitcher and its emptiness. So I think this is saying, because it's not self-existent, that can't be right. When we go looking for a water pitcher that can be amongst a group of things that are not water pitchers, we won't be able to find one. Let's go on to the next slide. A working thing looked at from the opposite of what all it is not. Putting it all together. Maybe. Debate. Consider sound. It is a changing thing because it is made. Okay, let's do our analysis. Examples like a water wallflower. The example of water pitcher puts you and your opponent on common ground. You both accept these arguments when it comes to water pitcher. Why? They just haven't made the connection to the ohm sound and so a simple statement has 14 elements. What is the subject? Sound. What is the assertion? Sound is a changing thing. What is the quality of the It should be, what is the quality to be proven? Being a changing thing is the quality to be proved. Proving this quality applies to the sound as part of the assertion. Versus sound is a changing thing. Proving that this quality applies to sound is part of the assertion. Assertion sound versus sound is a changing thing. Let's get the whole debate up here. There's an explicit form of the quality to be proven. This is the quality that you want to prove as you explicitly stated. And that's it being a changing thing. There's an explicit form of this quality to be proven, that which is implied by a specific assertion. Being an instantaneous changing thing, working, liking constantly. The position that we're denying by our assertion, sound is an unchanging thing. The quality that we are denying, being an unchanging thing, a group of similar cases, all changing things in the group of similar things to the reason we are now proving. Our whole argument focuses on this, pivots around this. Does a made thing fit into the group of an all-changing thing? Well, I leave you with that question. So exclusions, let's go back to come on. I can't find it. Okay. So we're talking about the elimination of things, this exclusion principle, and basically going through an object and a concept and emptiness, those three aspects, and showing how you eliminate things in order to get what you're looking for. That's a lower school, logic school. So, I didn't want to put class 10 on today because class 9's confusing enough. Class 10 is about time. That's very interesting. I don't think about time. I don't. Tomorrow's tomorrow, today's today. But after class 10, you'll think of time in a totally different manner. But we'll look into that on Thursday. Okay. Well, let's dedicate what little I understand on this subject. We'll dedicate it so that all sentient beings have an opportunity to study logic and slowly let it permeate our minds so that we can use logic to study and understand the concept of emptiness better. May the precious Bodhi mind, not yet born, arise and grow. May that born have no decline, but increase forevermore. O Gurus, Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, please listen to what I now say. Just as all the previous Sugatas generated the mind of enlightenment and practice in accordance with Bodhisattva precepts, so shall I too, in order to benefit all that lives, give birth to bodhicitta and follow its precepts. Okay. We'll see you Thursday and talk about an equally obscure analysis of time. But it's an interesting thing. It's not an easy analysis because it gets very confusing as what the present is versus the past, etc. But it makes you stop and think. We all think of time going linearly. Today's today, and a day down the timeline is tomorrow. And that's not self-existently how this works. So we'll see on Thursday. Okay, hang in there. We're almost through with the logic course. Thank goodness. Going to something like Tonglen, I think that's really a great course coming up. Okay.
Yeah,
Goodbye.
I think Anna Boyka has a question.
No, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Anna.
Я просто хотела спросить, а где можно почитать окончание этой дискуссии, что звук не является
Where can we read about the ending of this discussion that sound
предметом, не изменяющимся
is not
предметом?
an unchanging subject?
The readings for this course, for this class, would be where to look. And that's been translated into Russian, yes? Yeah. That would be where I would look. Sure. And Anna, thank you for sending me those pictures. I really enjoyed those pictures of your yard. And that's your youngest son? The 9-year-old? Does he enjoy driving a lawnmower? Boy, if I'd had a chance to drive that when I was 9 years old, man. Okay. I'm sorry these logic courses are as confusing, I think, to you as they are to me. But that's one reason we're trying to study them. And slowly but surely, it'll sink in. And one day you'll go, oh, that's what they said in logic class. Now I understand. That's the point. Okay, thank you, translator. Bye-bye.